Welcome to another edition of On Site with me, your host, Matthew Brewer. We're here on beautiful Munjoy Hill in Portland, Maine, currently on Waterville Street. This is a renovation project that we started, I'd say about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And I wanted to show you this project and kind of go over a new product that we're using. It's a new deck post system that we've been using on the last few projects, which is a really nice system to use, as well as some of the difficulties of renovating an old house. So why don't we step on over here and I'll show you the job site. So this project included an addition. We did a 2-story deck addition, a dormer addition on the 3rd floor, and we also bumped the 2nd floor out to get more room in the kitchen, which you'll see as we start walking through. We're almost done. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. First thing I'd like to show you is the deck post system that we've been starting to use now more recently. It's a helical deck post. It's an actual galvanized steel post that has it's got a screw bottom on it. And what it does is it's pretty much like an auger system that they drive in. It looks like a mini tank. And they drive these posts down into the ground until until they hit ledge, or until I get down to the appropriate depth, which is typically 4 feet up in here, up here in Maine. And then once they get down to the depth, they cut the top off and they put a cap on it, and you can build your deck right off of that. The nice thing about them is it takes less time than doing a concrete sonotube. It's a lot more cost effective. From a price standpoint, you can't beat it, and it's just one less thing that we have to do in the field. It's something that we hire it out to a guy who shows up, he takes care of it, it's done within a few hours, and we can start building right after that. You don't have to wait for concrete to cure. You don't have to worry about your precast piers being out of plumb or out of level, not in the right spot. I mean, it's a pretty nice system. I mean, since we've been using it, I don't think we'll ever go back to a concrete pier unless it's specified by an engineer. This deck is a complete addition. We did a 2-story deck on this one. You'll see on the 2nd floor, it's actually got a roof deck on it. We're doing stainless steel cable rails, some kind of somewhat of a modern look. The decking on this deck is a composite deck. It's a Trex decking with hidden fasteners. You can't really see it because we're trying to protect it. We don't want anybody ruining it. Bring you inside and show you some of the difficulties that we've had, renovating an old house, building new onto an older home. So right now you're standing in the kitchen, and as you can see, the existing house ended where this beam is currently located. That was pretty much the kitchen, the existing kitchen. We've now added on about 6 to 8 feet to the outside of the kitchen to give it more room, make it feel more open. This is the 2nd floor deck. We don't have any handrails on there yet, so I don't really, The handrails, like I said, are going to be a stainless steel deck. This deck sits over a rubber roof. In order to put a deck on top of a rubber roof, you either have to do one of 2 systems. You either do sleeper system, which is just pressure treated framing that you cut down, you lay down on top of a rubber roof, you don't actually fasten it, and then you put your decking on top of that, or you do what we use as a bison deck system, which it's a whole different system. It involves pedestals and stuff, and that's another job I can show you. For another episode, I can show you a bison deck system. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I wanted to kind of go over some of the difficulties that we have renovating an old house. The biggest difficulty of this particular house is when we build new, we have to build everything plumb and level. Old houses typically aren't plumb and level. Old houses are usually pretty out of level, and they've usually settled quite a bit. So this particular floor was 2.5 inches out of level from one side of the room to the other side of the room. So when we built our floor system to it, as you can imagine, we had quite a big difference between our floor system and the existing floor system. So what we ended up having to do is we had to end up feathering the old floor system to meet our new floor system. And as you can see, to the naked eye, you can't tell if the floor is out of level or not. It takes a lot more work. It's a pretty difficult thing to do. But it's the right thing to do. There's really no other way of doing it. You can't, like I said, you can't build a new floor system out of level. It's just, you just can't do it. The other thing that's difficult in an old house is matching moldings. A lot of old houses have very intricate, very large moldings that you just can't, you can't go to a store and buy. You just can't do that. So we have the ability at our shop through Jeff Brewer, the wicked awesome woodworker, to make all moldings that we need to match the existing moldings of old houses. And as you can see in this house, the other difficult thing with old houses is a lot of times you get different moldings in different rooms. This is Ron Weaver, by the way. He's one of our project foremen. Good morning. Ron is running this project. So as you can see, this base detail, that's a base detail that you can't just buy. So we have to make that base molding custom at our shop to match the existing, so that when we're done with this room, it's going to look like it was always here. You're never going to know that. You're not supposed to know where we start, where we actually started the project and where the old house stopped. It's supposed to look seamless. So that's another part of another difficult aspect of doing renovations in old houses. A lot of guys don't have the ability or the capability to make the moldings like we can. We actually do quite a bit of work for other contractors to, form moldings, to match moldings, to make the crowns, to make casings, to make doors, to match the old style houses, because every old house is a little bit different. Not every old house is the same. It's not like nowadays where you go into a brand new development and every single house in that development has the same moldings in it, the same casings, the same crown detail. That's just not how it was back in, early 1900s, late 1800s. So we like to think that we have, this was kind of our bread and butter, doing renovations and additions. We love to do it because we have that ability to make everything look like it was always here. And that's really the challenge of renovating an old house. When we leave this house, we want to make sure that when somebody walks into this house, it doesn't look like an addition. It looks like it was supposed to be a part of the home. That's kind of the last thing we want, is to leave and everybody say, oh, look at that addition. We want it to look like it was always here, like it was always part of the plan for this house. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today, kind of give you a little bit of a insight on the difficulties of renovating old houses. There's obviously a lot more to it than just moldings and leveling floors, but that's something that we could touch base with on another episode. Just a kind of a recap of what we did talk about today, the helical post that we're now starting to use on decks. It's a really good system. You'll probably see it on more of our projects in the future. And then, some of the difficulties of renovating an old house that we have the ability to do that some other contractors might not have is, matching moldings, matching any kind of doors, windows. We can handle that in-house, which is a really nice benefit. And other than that, I want to wish everybody a happy Friday, and don't forget to tune in to Wicked Awesome Woodworker, because my brother's a little jealous because I'm going to get more views than him. But yeah, thanks for joining us today, and have a good weekend.